30 years in time when you're coming here. Weather washout. Now there's a tough job. Just have to do it though, like a lot of things that needed to be done with these old steam engines. That coal, best in the country. Goes damn good steam, West Coast steam.
We go straight to Greymouth on the west coast of New Zealand. Other areas we visit are Hokitika and Westport. Greymouth was once a bustling town, shipments of coal and timber being the major export. And in the early 1900s, the railway system was built to move these raw materials. Over the years, the stations changed. It provided full employment to railways personnel, and the introduction of modern technology, such as electricity and telephones, made life even easier. Most folk used the railway, the other option being the horse and cart, or if you could afford one, the motor car. However, the railway transported people to and from major centres, and in 1923 the grand opening of the Otira Tunnel eliminated the arduous journey over the Arthurs Pass. Today, Greymouth Station is nothing more than a tourist stopping point. Its old, elegant turn-of-the-century architecture, a reminder of the many stations built throughout New Zealand. The adjacent yard is gone now. It used to house an engine shed, maintenance workshops, a few freight wagons and carriages. With increasing traffic, it became more difficult to operate, so the engine shed was transferred approximately 1.5 kilometres southwest. Elmer Lane opened on the 4th of June 1928. It was one of 3 true roundhouse loco depots in New Zealand and housed a variety of locomotives. Elmer Lane's completely disappeared. The last portion was demolished in late 1992. Kevin Hope reminisces about the sophisticated workings of Elmer Lane.
Well, recently, when I say recently, about in the last 6 months, I went for a walk and went down the back of what used to be the old roundhouse and the workshops, and there was a demolition notice on the building, and all that was standing was some of the old posts that held up the roof and the walls, and I believe now that the site is almost there's no building there at all. They've been completely removed. Elmer Lane had 18 roads and was probably one of the most modern steam depots probably in the South Island, if not in New Zealand. And the reason for that was that everything was, you could service a locomotive on one road, incoming road. It had the first facilities it had was a hoist, a coal hoist, which provided a coal filling system overhead. So the coal was dropped from the hoppers into the coal hoist bucket, and then they just pressed a button and the coal hoist took the coal up and filled the old coal hoist, filled it up with coal. And then we just, on two roads, we had a chute which we just lowered down by chain into the bunker or into the tender, whichever type of locomotive you were coaling, and just pressed a lever and filled the coal tender up. And then from there we just proceeded onto a water hydrant, took water, and then onto a pit, an inspection pit, and in the middle of a double inspection pit was an ash hoist. We just placed the old ash hopper over the top of the ash hoist, which had a bucket under the track, dropped the fire into it, and just pressed a button, and the ash hoist took the ashes away out of the pit and into an LA, a wagon. And from there we proceeded to overhead sanding, and there was three roads that you could take sand on, but we just proceeded there, took sand, and then straight onto the turntable and into whatever road we were stabling the locomotive.
A mixed variety of engine classes have been at Elmer Lane at one time or another. They haven't gone unnoticed by the enthusiasts. With steep grades, tight curves and light rail, axle loadings and good tractive effort was an important consideration in locomotive design. The largest and heaviest engine on West Coast metal was the J, and only rostered for mainline duties. Greymouth, Mawariki, a river port and located on the south bank of the Grey River, the railway yard area was always busy, with cargoes of all descriptions coming and going. Timber and coal were the major export. The port was designed by British engineer Sir John Coode in the 1800s. His design provided good storage and berthage facilities which lasted for more than 100 years.
Recently been down the wharf and walked the wall, and of course there's no rail lines or anything there now. The whole area is just a wall, and it's more or less a scenic walk, whereas there used to be something like, I think, about 14 roads down the wharf, plus a lot of other servicing roads to other sidings down there. There's just no rail services at all in that area. And even in the top, what we referred to as the top yard, which was adjacent to the main station, there's no yard there at all. There's just a couple of tracks there now. So, and I read in the local newspaper in the last couple of days that they're even putting the old Cobden signal box where all the tracks, all the trains entering and going, leaving Greymouth, and all the servicing roads were operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I see they've got that up for tender, so there's not even any use for that now. So yes, there are some big changes, and railways are almost, I would say, non-existent as we knew them in 1948. And we ran trains, steam trains out of Greymouth 7 days a week, and we ran steam trains to places like Hokitika Ross, Riwanui Rapahoe, Reefton, and they went through to Westport, and we ran them to Otira. So it was a very busy district as far as rail was concerned.
We travelled south to Hokitika and Ross with an enthusiast train. The UC class locomotives were built by Sharp, Stewart and Company in 1901 for service in Southland. These engines have 2 cylinders, 4-foot driving wheels, a boiler pressure of 200 pounds and gross laden weight of 62 tonnes. The tractive effort of the UC was 18,340 pounds. In later years, the remainder were transferred to the coast and ran on the Greymouth to Hokitika line and occasionally Tenderfirst to Dunolly as a fill-in. The UC for a long time was the most powerful engine permitted to run on the Reefton to Stillwater line. Hokitika was founded in 1864 when traders John Hudson and James Price set up a calico store in the straggling gold mining camp on the north bank of the Hokitika River. They were soon joined by passengers of the SS Nelson, who took up sections marked off by surveyor W.H. Revel on the site previously marked by surveyor John Rochefort earlier that year. A change of engines on our enthusiast excursion to A-class locomotive journeying to Ross. The A-class locomotives on the coast reigned supreme as the biggest mainline power between Greymouth and Otira for many years. To see 2 of these engines battling up grades of 1 and 60 with 600 tonnes of coal was certainly an amazing sight. However, in later years the A was replaced by the J-class. Ross, the end of the line. Opened in 1904, the terminus in later years shipped lime and timber. With the coming of age of state forests in the North Island, it was eventually closed in the early 70s. Today, only the concrete remnants exist. Ross was the centre of New Zealand's richest gold strikes. Today a gold claim still exists and can be seen working. Back to Hokitika to follow A-Class locomotive number 424 to Greymouth with a mixed freight train. In the late 60s, these types of train were quite common. The following morning, the cool, damp air of the coast makes wonderful steam effects, and WW480 crosses the Cobden Bridge, bound for Rewanui. We crossed the town of Ranunga, established in 1902 for the coal miners for the surrounding coal fields. Our train arrives at Dunolly. Years ago, this was a bustling coal mine head and depot. Today, almost nothing exists of the line. Even the station's been converted to a very livable home. The steep 1 26 grade of the Rewanui line posed many problems for the locomotive power. WEs were the main engine class to run on this line, being transferred from Cross Creek on the Rumataka Incline. Dennis Reynolds tells of some of his experiences on this line.
We had a week about, like you just say you had a weekday shift at Denali, a week back shift, then a weekday shift at Ruanui, and a week back shift up there. Plus we used to go down to Rapahoe if we were working on the night shift. We would go down to Rapahoe and do the shunts down there when the trains used to go down there.
Struggle, the loco reaches the top of the incline and into Ruanui station.
The traffic operator, station agents, whatever, they had all sorts of names for us, you know, but it was more or less the running of the station, the shunting involved up there, and that's about it.
Originally known as Port Elizabeth No. 2, the Liverpool State Coal Mine closed in 1984. Liverpool's coal was regarded as the best gas coal available in New Zealand. Today there's little to be seen. A great wall of mud and rock came crashing down from the hills above in a deluge of rain, washing away the bathhouse and bridge and destroying much of the area. Sadly, the caretaker Keith Butler lost his life. His body and car were never found, possibly buried under hundreds of tons of rock and mud.
We used to have quite a bit of fun up there. We're loading coal on the Moody Creek private mine, and the train used to go to Ruanui. We used to take the wagons up there and turn the train around and bring them down and load them on the way down, because there was sort of uphill going up and it was easier to load it coming down. So anyway, this day we'd almost finished loading. and there's one more tarpaulin to go on one of the hopper wagons for Hokitika. So I said to the driver, I'll hop on my bike, scooter, and go down, and I'll open the punch at the bottom of the incline. He said, okay. So I just takes off, and I'm just cruising down on my little Yamaha, and next thing, this great hoot behind me. I said he'd sneaked up on me, and I got such a fright. I was about 6 feet off the bike, and the bike went over the bank, and it took about 5 of us to get it back up again, and they thought it was a huge joke, but I wasn't very impressed.
Charging out of Riverside Wharf Yards, we bid farewell to Greymouth and its wonderful, hospitable folk. A few years at Omoto, just a few miles outside Greymouth on the main line. The area had a large slip, which caused the bridge supports to become unstable and a deviation was made. But the place is interesting as locomotives and wagons were dumped here as fill, and they're still here today. The railway, the station and extensive shunting yard were built in 1876 in Brunner, which was a large coal mining area named after Thomas Brunner. Today, very little remains apart from concrete and bricks. Further up the Westport line is the town of Ngāhere. The Heisler locomotive was owned by New Forest Sawmills. This was the last time the Heisler worked on New Zealand railway tracks. A new turnout had been installed on the main line near the mill, and NZR engines would in future work directly into the mill yard. The Heisler is now in operation at Shantytown. Heislers were unusual locomotives. They had 2 cylinders arranged in a V, driving a longitude shaft which transmitted power to the outer axle of each of the 2 four-wheeled bogies. Coupling rods linked the outer or driving axles with the inner axles. Adjacent to Ngāhiri across the Grey River is Blackball. Its name is derived from an English shipping company, the Blackball Line. The railway branch line was permanently closed in 1966 when the bridge was damaged by a flood. In this rare film we see another spur off Blackball. This is Roa. WA 217 is working the shunt, then returns to Blackball. Further north up the line is Reefton and the infamous Reefton Saddle. The Burke's Colliery Barclay is shunting wagons ready for a reshunt by the New Zealand Railways. BA 499 is in steam along with ABs 778 and 743. Today, Reefton yards have almost gone, but the station still operates and receives coal trains from Westport daily. The Reefton Saddle, on the other hand, produces good working steam and requires a banking engine on the rear of the train to climb the heavy grade. The banking engine returns, tender first, to Reefton. Inangahua Junction's aptly named, as it's the junction where the Buller and Inangahua rivers meet. Years ago, cargo vessels would unload all supplies at the landing, and these would be railed either to Reefton or Westport. After shunting at Inangahua, we travel to Westport. Westport is the port and commercial centre for the Buller region. This port, like Greymouth, was designed by British civil engineer Sir John Coode and has berthage facilities along the east bank of the Buller River. It's protected by breakwaters which confine the river to a definite channel. The wharf area for the railway was a busy one, providing very functional shunting facilities for the bituminous black coal from Denniston, Granity, Ngakawau and Waimongaroa. Although the engine shed facilities were not like Greymouth, it worked with relative efficiency. North of Westport is Waimongaroa, filmed here in 1967. This area was the main shunting yards for the Cons Creek and Denniston coal mines. It consisted of 3 loops to enable wagons to be shunted in order bound for Westport. The infamous Denniston Incline, referred to by locals as the 8th wonder of the world, high on the top of Mount Rochefort, is a plateau region. The abundance of coal and massive seams posed a problem in getting it down the mountain, so an ingenious cable railway was devised to haul the coal hopper wagons up the incline, but more importantly, control 12 tons of fully loaded wagons going down the incline. It was completed in October 1879 and dropped 1,700 feet in a distance of 83 chains. Today, the mist shrouds the only remains of this once great engineering feat. It succumbed to the improved road and high-powered trucks. Back at the shunt, WW575 rearranges the return train in readiness to travel to Westport. A few years earlier, WW572 pulled an enthusiast excursion train up to Seddonville and returned. The WW tank locomotives were designed by R. Pye Smith in 1913. 50 engines were built at Hillside Workshops between 1913 and 1919. 3 engines were allocated to the Westport section to haul coal trains. They have a real arrangement of 4-6-4-T, boiler pressure of 180 pounds, and they weighed in at approximately 52 tons. We bid farewell to Westport and travel through to Stillwater. Stillwater in 1967, and J1201 heads out on its daily freight run to Otira. At Otira, the old EO class, English Electrics, are ready to pull the next goods freight train through the Otira tunnel. Today, newer electric locomotives have replaced the old EO class. Today's class does the same job as the old ones did back then. The Otira to Arthurs Pass electrification was designed to cope with daily freight tonnages of 1,000 tonnes eastbound and 700 tonnes westbound. And it was expected when this tonnage doubled, 8 electric locomotives would be required. However, in 1941 the old steam generating plant shut down and hydroelectric supply was arranged. Today, gross laden tonnes is around 4,000 to 6,000 daily. Before the 5¼ mile tunnel was driven through, the only access to the east was a tedious journey by stagecoach and horseback over the Southern Alps. Construction on the tunnel went well, and in 1923 it was officially opened, and soon proved how efficient the transport of goods could be from the coast to the wide world. Arthur's Pass, the end of our journey. In the days of steam matters, J's, JAs and KBs were abundant here. Today it's sad to see, not only on the coast but throughout New Zealand, a massive decline in our railway system. Part of our heritage gone forever.